It's crazy to think that TSC is already 5 years old, that we're having our 5th birthday, because God has moved some major mountains in order for us to continue to exist, to continue to thrive in ministry. I mean, I can remember back when He had first put the calling in our hearts. We were part of a small group and just feeling like God had more for us. Like, if we got to the end of our life, would we have any regrets? Have we done enough to bring people to Christ? But there were some major boundaries or mountains in the way from calling us down here to South Florida.
Yep. So then we started praying because we did feel a strong pull to church plant, and it was definitely something that we didn't want to do because we were pretty financially stable where we were at. We had great friends. We had built a family, even though we didn't have much family living around us. Our kids were going into, or were part of a great Christian school. I had an amazing job. We had an amazing church. And there were 3 things that we said, or Chris asked me, and he said, if we were to do this, what would be the things that we need God to show us in order for us to see that burning bush?
I think the major struggle was that things really were going well. The church was growing, and like you said, we were financially set, and it was like, do we really want to do this? And then we said that prayer. We said, God, what are the things that are holding us back? What are the things?
The first thing that we needed to hear from God was on our financial stability. We needed to, we were set where we were at. And I had a great job. Chris had a good income coming in. He was doing some coaching, so he had some extra income coming in. We were sending our kids to a Christian school. That was an amazing school. It was a small community that we were involved in, and the kids were flourishing in. It was a Spanish immersion program, so they were going to school all in Spanish, and we loved that also. And then we had our daughter Dominique, who was 15, and we didn't feel like we were ready to move during her crucial teenage years. That was breaking our heart. So it was less than a week later that God answered all of those prayers. Like, we've never seen God answer so quickly.
We said those prayers Sunday night. Literally, God, show us what is holding us back. And He showed us the finances, He showed us the kids' school, and He showed us Dominique. And literally by Wednesday, He had removed all those barriers. Vivy went into work one day and found out that they were completely restructuring the company that she worked for, and that over 40 employees were being eliminated, and she could apply for another job, but her job would no longer be available. And so that removed the first barrier. Second barrier is if we didn't have her income, we could no longer financially afford to send our kids to Christian school. So what were we going to do? And then the third barrier is I sat down with Dominique, we both did, and we said we feel God is calling us down to South Florida in order to plant a church. And she looked at me and she said, Dad, if God's calling you to do this, then who are you to tell God no? And I thought, for a 16-year-old to have that type of maturity and to tell us to go, who are we to tell God no? And we started praying about it, and we started looking.
So then now we knew that we definitely could not say no to God. One of the things that we talked a lot about is we didn't want to be a Jonah, where we would stay where we were comfortable and not fulfill the calling that God has over our lives. So we started to pray to God, asking us to show us the how. And one of the things that we prayed very often was, show us how we're going to get supported financially. Where are we going to go in South Florida? What team are we going to have? Are we going to bring a team? Is God going to raise up a team? And that began our next phase of prayers.